Hi, my name's Lee Kohler and I'd like to invite you along to a new series, 10 a.m. every Sunday morning, titled The Life and Teachings of Jesus. It's all about Jesus' discipleship model. Now, I'm not sure what comes to your mind when you think of discipleship. It might be you picture a lounge room with people discussing the Word of God and a Bible study. Absolutely, that's part of discipleship. You might picture a crowd of people where Jesus is preaching and his disciples are on the front row drinking in the Word of God as it's being preached. Absolutely, listening to preaching is part of discipleship. But you know, I think we've lost a little bit in the West this concept that really the way Jesus did discipleship included an apprenticeship model. The disciples would observe Jesus doing all manner of ministry. They had a chance to talk about that, and Jesus would then send them out to do the very things that he was doing. They'd come back, they'd report, they'd reflect, he'd send them out again. And so when Jesus said those words, "Go therefore and make disciples of all nations," they knew exactly what he meant. Now, my hope is that we will better understand what he meant also. In fact, if you take out a highlighter and go through the Gospels and look at some of the big themes, it's interesting what you come up with. One of the ones I found interesting was if you highlight all the power encounters that Jesus was involved in, for instance, healing of the sick and driving out demons, it makes up a good 25% of a gospel. You realise then, oh, this must have actually been really important, and yet we don't teach much about it. You know, and of course Jesus sent his disciples out to do the same thing. We need to learn more about this power encounter area. Of course, Jesus spent a lot of time introducing people, whether crowds or small groups or individuals, into the concept that he was the Son of God and the way to salvation, the way to know God. Of course, his disciples were equipped and trained to get really good at sharing that gospel message. You know, friends, my hope is this, that after we've finished this series, that we are well equipped to make disciples ourselves. And as a part of the series too, I've written this book that directly relates to the messages. And so in your personal quiet times, you could use this to reflect upon those same passages. There's lots of good thought-provoking questions in the book to get you to think through what Jesus is saying to you as a result of his word. And friends, in doing that, getting it into your personal quiet times, this theme of discipleship. And of course, this can be used as a discussional booklet in small group Bible studies as well. And you put all these three together. Listen to the preached word of God, meditate on the scriptures in your personal quiet time, discuss them in a small group, and then finally seek to live out, to apply that word of God and become a disciple maker. I tell you what, you're heading to be a mature Christian, the sort of Christian that Jesus is looking for, someone who's going to go out and make disciples of all nations.